Well, glad to see you back in the shop with me again. This is the video I promised to do on using the easy open segment jig. Now, one of my last videos I did a small bowl with two different size segments, and I said at the time I was making two bowls like that just with different woods, and I cut up all the segments for the second bowl, and that's what I'm going to be assembling on this jig. Is the second bowl. Now I've already got the base cut and I've already got all the segments cut. It's just like the other bowl I did. It's only going to be about 5 inches in diameter. It's got the solid base, and then I've got a small ring, then a larger ring. These are the different size segments in each ring. Then a small ring, larger ring, small ring, and then of course the closed top. Now, for the small rings, I'm using sandwich material. In this case, it's Peruvian walnut and holly. It's just 3 pieces sandwiched together. They're each about 0.1 inch thick. And like I said, I've already got them cut. Got the segments cut. They're awful small. I'm using 24 segments per ring. So the first ring will just be these small segments, 24 of them. And I'm going to put them on at 4 3/4 inches. So let's get started gluing it up. I have got the jig set up, got it in the drill chuck. Drill chuck's in the tailstock locked down. I've got it level, got the collar locked. I've got it positioned about a 1/16 of an inch, I guess, from the base. I'm using the inside ring on the index wheel, which is 48 indexes. I've got half of them marked with a little red dot, which will come off later real easy with alcohol and paper towel. And I've got the other half unmarked, so that identifies them. They're just unmarked. So I'm going to start using the red mark indexes. I got the lock set up from behind. I got it set on one of the red marked indexes. Greg is working on a new stop block. So in the meantime, I'm using a thin piece of wood and a couple of clamps as a stop block. These are going to go on, the ring's going to be 4 3/4 inches in diameter. There's a ruler on here, so I'm setting it at 2 3/8 inches by the ruler, and I am ready to glue on the first segment. Now if you want to see how I set this up, I did that in a previous video on the easy open segment jig. I set it all up, which is relatively easy. Same way I set up my homemade jig. Exactly the same way. So I'm going to glue these on, get it up against the stop. Okay, 10 seconds. Release the lock pin and move it, and set it to the next red index. Okay, we're ready to glue on the second one. Very light coat of tight bound too, as always. Very light coat. Up against the stop block. 10 seconds. Release the lock pin and move it. Set it to the next red index. And I'll continue gluing them on like that all the way around. The first rule has been glued on and sanded. Now the second row, just like in the previous turning, are two different widths of segments. In this case they're going to be maple and red heart. And there's 8 maple that are the normal 24 segment width. And then there's the red heart. And these is the same as one open segment and one closed segment together. And I'm going to put these on, not on every index, but every other index, just like I did the other turning. Like I said, these have already been pre-cut. And this ring is also a 4 3/4 inch ring. So let's go ahead and set it up and glue this ring on. Now, I've sanded this ring flat, and I begin turning it on the inside. Obviously, I took off the gluing platform. So how do I return it to the same spot it was? It's easy enough. I got the lock collar set on the post, so I just drop it in. It's good to go. I take the platform, seat it in, bring it up. I bring this up, right up to the center here, where the divider is. Right up to it. Lock it down, and I make sure that this is seated good. Bring this up close. Then use the quill to bring it on up. Lock the quill down, I'm ready to go. It's in the exact same spot. This time I'm going to use the unmarked indexes. I set it for an unmarked index, and I'm ready to glue on the first piece. So first I'll glue a piece of the maple on. Go right here. Looks good. Light coat of glue. Put it in, clamp it for 10 seconds. Now I skipped one of the open indexes and went to the second one. And I'm going to glue on the red heart, which is going to cover all the way from this segment here down to that segment. It's actually going to cover parts of 3 segments. And again, I'm going to hold it on for 10 seconds after putting a light layer of glue on it. Light layer of glue, slide it in, make sure it's right, and hold it for 10 seconds. Now I'm going to go to the next unmarked index and put another maple on. I'll continue doing this all the way around. I got this ring sanded. I did not turn the inside of this ring yet because of the height of it. I'm not going to turn it till I get the next thin ring glued on to support the top of it. So I got 3 more rings to glue on. One thin ring like this, these, another tall ring, and then one more of these rings. Then I'll be ready for the closed top. Now, I got this ring ready to glue on. This has been sanded. This is going to be a 5-inch ring. So I got the stop block set at 2.5 inches from center. I'm using a red index. It's got the index set. So I'm ready to start gluing this ring on. I'm going to glue it on the actually next 3 rings just like I did before. I've got the last row of open segments glued on now. So I'm going to take the platform off. I'm going to remove the index wheel and the locking mechanism. I'm going to take the platform and clean off any glue that might have got on it with a wet paper towel. Even though the glue is dry, a wet paper towel will take it off. It takes a little bit of work, but it will take it off. Then I'm going to sand it. I'm going to make the closed ring for it. I'm going to turn the inside a little bit. All right, a little bit of glue always seems to get onto the gluing platform. Even though it's dry, I can take a wet paper towel and get it off. There we go. A little bit here on the edge. There it comes off. Okay, it's all off and clean. That wasn't too much trouble at all. Ready to go for the next time. So, this works right well. Using a clamp and a little piece of strip of material for the stop block. Easy to use with the ruler here, easy to set up. I use the index wheel mounted behind the chuck, which I normally don't do on my lathe. I have another index wheel mounted permanently on the back, and it works good. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but after I got it down pat, it works real good. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and put a closed ring on top of it now. I've got the solid ring glued up now. I'm going to put it in the cold jaws, turn the edge and smooth it. Then I'm going to glue it onto the open segments. Now, I've got a whole video on how to make the solid ring, so I'm not going into that. So I'm just going to put it in the cold jaws, turn it flat, sand it. Then I'm going to put the cold jaws on the tailstock, put the turning back on the headstock and glue them together. The last open segments have been put on. They've been sanded flat. 24 segment ring has been prepared, closed ring. I turned it and sanded it flat. Normally I put glue on each segment, a light coat on each segment, but there's so many and so small, I'm just going to put a very light coat of glue on the ring, and I'm going to bring it up, making sure the joints on the ring fall in the middle of the segment. So I'm going to first put a very light coat of glue on the ring. Get my glue spreader here. Make sure I don't get too much glue. There we go, that should do it. Put it in the tailstock and bring it up. Now make sure they're lined up and clamp her down. Now I'll just let that dry for 15 minutes or more. I have it turned, sanded, and finish put on it. Like I always do now, I'm going to tape off the edge here with blue painter's tape. Blue painter's tape don't leave sticky marks on it. Then I'm going to reverse it on cold jaws, bring up the tailstock and turn the bottom. I've got it taped off on the cold jaws, holding it from the inside because it's tapered in. Got the tailstock up, and now because I used a mortise instead of a tenon, it'll be very easy just to finish the bottom and leave a little bit here for it to sit on. Then I'll just give it a little sanding and some shellac and I'll be done. Okay, here's the finished turning. Not too much to it, but not too bad, I guess. And it's got precise alignment, like it should have. Everything's lined up perfectly. And I used the commercial system from Chief Wear Kits. It's basically the same as my home built one, except of course it's a lot better built, more accurate, and it's got this ruler mounted here which makes it easy to set up the distance that you're gluing them. And I also used the index wheel mounted behind the chuck with the index lock system that comes with it. And it works perfect. Had to get it lined up initially, but after that it worked absolutely flawlessly. And again, like I said, I come out with perfectly aligned segments. As you can see here, the alignment on them is absolutely perfect. So, I'm going to say that this system works quite well, very well. And I'm going to keep on using it rather than using my homemade one now that I have it. So I'm happy with it, and I thank you for watching my video, and I appreciate the people that watch it. Definitely appreciate the people that subscribe. And thank you for watching, and come back and see my next video. I'm getting ready for my one-man show, so I might not have a video, might not have too many videos between now and Christmas because of the show coming up. But after that, I'm going to be doing a couple of interesting things, so come back and visit me again. Thank you.